Hello friends, welcome to Bailey's and Tea, Create a Card with Me, June 5th, 2021 edition. Today we're going to be making a book binding fun fold card, which is this card you see right here. Pretty cute, eh? It's got this nice little binding down the side that makes it nice and unique. The reason why I picked this card is because I want to show you also how to use up scrap pieces of your designer series paper. So I've also created this card here. Same style, same paper, just different layout. Sort of the same colorings. I did use the same matting and that sort of thing, just a different base. So it kind of gives you a different look, just so you can see the difference. So it's a really easy card to put together, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. If you need to connect with me in any way, there are all of my social handles that you can find me on, or you can just message me directly as well. All right. So I posted some measurements that you needed for this card. If you haven't prepped yet, I will go through them again, and then you'll be able to cut along with me, or if you've already got it ready to go, you just double check your cutting and your work. All right, so we've got a colored cardstock base in Evening Evergreen, which is one of our new in colors. It is cut at 4 1/4, sorry, this way, by 11 1/2, and then we've scored it at 5 1/2 and 4 1/2. So what we're going to do with our bone folder is we are going to fold back this front piece, and we're just going to give that a light burnish, and we are going to burnish our main 5 1/2 one as well. So that's going to give us our binding piece. So if we look at it this way, once we glue that down in a moment, we're going to have our binding. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and glue that piece down. My lid's kind of stuck to my glue here. So we're just taking our stamping seal. And get my flick at the end. So a trick when you're using the stamping seal is to run it down along your project and flick it at the end. If you flick it up, then it cuts it off properly on the end and it's ready to go the next time that you use it. It takes a bit of practice to get used to, but once you do, you're home free. All right, so we've got an 18-inch piece of our pale papaya open weave. I'm trying to think of the name of it. The 3 1/4 inch open weave ribbon, which is new. We have a piece of cardstock that is 4 5/16 by 4 1/16 in pale papaya. So that's going to layer here like that. Then we've got a basic white piece, 4 by 4 1/4, and that's going to layer on top of our pale papaya. And then we've got our designer series paper, and we're using Pansy Petals, I believe it's called, for this one, and it is 4 1/16 by 3 15/16, and that's going to layer just on top of that all nicely for us. And then we've got an inside piece that is 4 by 4 1/4. Our binding pieces, our cardstock piece is 4 1/4 by 7/8 of an inch. So that's going to layer there. And then our designer series paper is 4 1/16 by 3 3/4. Sorry, I had to check my notes there. Okay, and that's just going to layer on top of there. So the nice thing about this paper is that it all coordinates together. It brings in all of our new in colors, and it's going to work perfectly for you. So you don't have to think about it. You just have to grab your scraps basically from that pack of designer series paper and go for it. The other beautiful thing about this paper, which you'll find on page 132 of our new annual catalog, is that it comes with sheets of the pansies and the leaves. This is just a half sheet because I've already cut up one, but You can either fussy cut around all of these, or the dies that come in the set actually coordinate with the flowers and the leaves, and you can cut them out that way. So whichever you prefer. If you like to fussy cut, well then purchasing the dies is not necessary, but if you don't, then the dies might be something that you want to look into. And they also come with a whole bunch of other dies in the set as well, you'll see here, so it's nice and perfect that everything coordinates. And then we are using the Pansy Patch stamp set for one of the greetings, whichever one we choose today, and then I'm going to show you how to use the stamps to build a pansy for the envelope. Okay, so that's that great paper. There are some other beautiful ones in there too, so you might want to head on over to page 132 and check that out. Okay, and so for our greeting, we're going to use the Stitch So Sweetly dies, and we're going to use the second one in here, so it coordinates with that one right there. And I've just cut this out in the base color of Evening Evergreen. And then we need a little white, basic white piece for our sentiment, which is 15/16 of an inch by 1 15/16 of an inch. And that's just going to layer right inside of the stitching here on the die. I don't know. Yeah, you can kind of see it. Sometimes it's hard to get things on camera. So basically, we are ready to start layering and putting our card together. You will be amazed at how quickly this goes and how easily you can recreate it with whatever leftovers of designer series paper that you have. So that's kind of my focus with class on Saturday this month, is showing you how to use up designer series paper, because if you're anything like me, you find one that you love and you hoard it, and then it retires and you have packages upon packages of it that you haven't used. And an easy way when you're just starting out in paper crafting, whether it's scrapbooking or card making, is that you are probably going to buy some pattern paper of some sort, because it obviously goes with scrapbooking and card making. Then you have the ability to intertwine the two and create cards as well as scrapbooking. I have a few customers that used to scrapbook and don't anymore, and of course had asked me how do they use up all that paper that they have, because it's beautiful and they just don't want to get rid of it. So I said, well, you know what, that gives me an idea for some classes on the weekend. So I've created this month to be using up your designer series paper. So I hope that you enjoy June's classes on Bailey's and Tea series, and that you get out that paper and you use it up and create some beautiful cards with it. So look how fast we've layered those. So all I've done is layered those cutout pieces that I told you and created my card front. Nice and simple and easy, nothing too complicated about that. And then I'm going to layer my inside piece in there as well, because I am going to use some of those cut out pansies out of the paper to decorate my inside. You can use, if you have the stamp set or anything else that you have, you can stamp something on the inside as well. It's totally up to you how you want to decorate, but I have a whole bunch of these cutouts, so I wanted to make sure that I use them up and they just don't sit in a bag and go unused. So I'm using up every aspect of that designer series paper wherever I can, including the flower cutouts. Okay, and then I've just put a pop dot on the back of this one just to kind of pop dot it up a little bit. So that's our inside done, and then you can stamp a greeting in there if you want, but I'm stamping mine on the front, so I'm just going to leave that blank. Now we are going to tie our ribbon around the outside here. So if you want, if you're not comfortable with tying it and just having it loose, just flip that over, apply a little bit of your glue runner or a glue dot, whichever you have, and just attach that on the back, and then you can flip it over and you'll have plenty of workability with it without having to have it slide around, slide off, and then you're getting frustrated with it. This ribbon is got a little bit of a sheen to it, so it's a little bit slippery as well. So putting that glue runner or glue dot on the back will help you keep it in place while you tie it. As you can see, I'm struggling with a bow today. There we go. And the ribbon will kind of go wherever it wants to go, and then you're just going to sort of play with it and get it where you want it and how big of your loops, you want them to be. So I think that looks nice right there, and I'm just going to grab my ribbon scissors so I can trim off the tails, because I forgot to bring them over. So I'm just going to cut off the tails so that it's not hanging out too much over the card, because if I put that in the mail, it's going to get jammed up in the envelope and not mail very well. Okay, so now we're going to pick a greeting. My other ones are both happy birthday. I'll bring one of them back into the screen here so you can see. So I think I'm going to do a thank you on this one, because I always need thank you cards for customers. So I'm just going to get that on my block, and I'm going to grab my Memento black. I'm just going to set that on top of it so I can get this in screen. So we're just going to tap, tap, tap on our ink pad. Hold that down for a moment just to transfer the ink to your cardstock. And there we go. We've got our thank you greeting. Okay, so we'll glue that down to our, oops, get that off of there so I don't get everything stuck. Layer that on top of our greeting cutout here. So I've just layered that flat on top, and then I'm going to flip it over and apply a couple dimensionals and peel off the backs. And then I'm going to stick that down. Now I kind of like where, so there's a difference between these. I put them in different spots. So I kind of look at my designer series paper and go, okay, is it really busy in certain areas? Do I need to break it up? So I just kind of hold it above and say, okay, well, do I like that? Do I want to cover up that pink flower and then sort of have some weird leaves sticking out the bottom? So I think best on this paper is for it to sort of be in this corner, same as the first one that I did there. So we'll just stick that down. Okay. And then whether you have embellishments or not, it's totally, like, as you can see, this card is just beautiful with nothing on it. And then of course on this one, I have added the in color jewels and a ladybug trinket. But, or sorry, not a ladybug. Those were our ones that are retiring at the end of June. A bumblebee. I love the ladybug trinkets. I wish they weren't leaving, so that's probably why I have ladybug on the brain. So what we'll do is, I'm not going to put a bumblebee trinket on this one, but I am going to use the in color jewels. So I'm going to do them in, I'm going to try to pick up the purple, I think, that's in this gingham print paper on the binding part of the card. So I'm just going to kind of, I don't really have a rhyme or a reason when I'm putting down anything. I just kind of go, does that look good to me? Does that look good to me? And I kind of move it around and till it visually looks appealing to me. So you can do the same thing. A little tip I will tell you about these bumblebees though is, I think I've mentioned it before, but I do have some new viewers, so I always like to bring up these little tips whenever I can. So the bumblebees come in gold. Now I've taken and put it in some Versamark, which is a clear ink pad, and then I've embossed it in black embossing powder. I've also, I don't know where the card is, I've been looking for it. I may have given it away. I've also done one in copper. So you can change the color of the bumblebees if, you know, your color scheme is not gold. You can make them silver, black, copper, whatever embossing powder that you have on hand. You can easily do that. So just make sure when you are embossing them that you don't hold them. They are metal, so they will get hot. So basically I just put them on a flat surface and then sort of move my heat gun over top of them, and then just let them dry for a few minutes, or sit and cool down, I should say, for a few minutes before I start using them on my actual card. So just simple, just added some quick little jewel embellishments. I always do them in odd numbers, so I could have put 5 on here, but I like 3. I think it's just enough with the ribbon. And then the flowers. I sort of want the flowers to be the focal point of the card in that designer series paper. So, and then we've already done our inside with our flowers. So basically the card front is done. Nice and simple. I'll hold up again side by side, sort of the one I made. I should go this way so you can see it better. You can sort of see with the embellishment of the bee and then with not. They still look gorgeous either way. All right, so now I will show you how to stamp the envelope with the pansies out of the stamp set. So we've got some different elements to the pansies here. So the one we want to start with is our solid stamp. So that would be this one right here. Okay, and I will bring the envelope in just so you can see sort of what we're trying to build there. So what I've done is I've stamped that solid image of the flower in fresh freesia. So I'm just going to ink that up, and then I'm going to stamp it down in this corner here. So I've got my base layer of my flower in fresh freesia. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in this sort of lined and dimensional stamp, which would be the next one that we're building here, and I'm doing that one in Highland Heather. So I've kind of kept with the purples in this because most of the flowers on that designer series paper was purplish. So there I've got my second layer. Doesn't that look cool? Gives so much dimension. And then for our next layer, which is this darker, we're going to come in with Gorgeous Grape. And that is this stamp right here. And then you're just going to want to watch the direction that you're going in and make sure that this top part isn't at the bottom, because it's meant to be sort of lined up with this. You can kind of see the pattern hole created there where you're going to stamp your next layer, so it sort of makes sense when you're looking at it. Oops, I probably could have stamped that a little bit firmer, but that's okay. I don't mind sort of the washy kind of look. And then we're going to come in with this guy right here, and that's going to be obviously the black part that you're seeing on the envelope that's finished already. And same thing, it kind of lines up in the hole the way you see it, and it's going to make sense to you. On video it might not make much sense. And then our center, which is this teeny tiny little piece right there, which you're always going to have to keep an eye on when you're using this stamp set because it's so small it will get lost. And I'm stamping that in Bumblebee. I just want to make sure I've got it in the right direction. And we're going to go right in the center. Okay, so we have built our pansy with the layers that you have in the stamp set. There's also a small one, so it'd be the same procedure. You would just start with that one, layer with your dimension there, use your little squiggly bits, so the black part there, and then use your center to stamp that. The leaves also layer the same way, so that's your base and then you're layering, your base and then you're layering. So it's nice and easy, and same with this flower. I haven't used the flower yet, but you'll have your stem pieces obviously, and then your base and your layer for your added dimension, so that extra little layer that you get there. So it's a fun stamp set that you can have a lot of fun with and create obviously these beautiful pansies in different colors and just beautiful ways. In all kinds of different colors. I have some samples here I will show you. So here's some yellows and some pinks, and then the purple one obviously, and sort of an orangey colored one. If you Google pansies, you will see 900 million choices of colorings and stuff like that. So they will inspire you to create and use whatever inks that you have on hand. I think that is all for today. Tune in next week for another episode of Using Up Your Designer Series paper on the Baileys and Tea Create a Card with Me. And the instructions and cutting dimensions and stuff post on the Fridays. And yeah, I'm not sure exactly what kind of card I'm gonna do, so when I do, you will see it posted on my Facebook page, and then always the dimensions are posted on the Friday. So I hope you have a wonderful day and you enjoyed making these cards. I hope you made one along with me. If you did, please post it in the comments. I would love to see it, as well as everyone else. And I hope to see you next Saturday for whatever we're gonna make. All right, you guys, enjoy your day. Paper hugs. Bye-bye.